Hello and welcome to a special bonus episode this week of Hoop 7's Basketball Hustle with the three-time NBL champion, the nightmare, the best power forward of his generation, Matty Knight. How do we find you this week, Matty? It's been quite the eventful finish to the NBL season, and all of a sudden we're only hours away from the finals getting underway.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of games. Again, it came down to the last game of the year, and there was probably 11,000 people holding their breath on that night with DJ Silovich made that, and it's their Wildcat season done. Melbourne are in, but I think he probably had the whole state of Melbourne behind him.
No, absolutely. What did you make of the last weekend, Matty? Obviously, to start with, I guess the first penny to fall was the Breakers locking in second spot over the Taipans, and that was made more interesting when Cairns won on Friday night and New Zealand had to beat Brisbane in overtime. We saw the Jack Jumpers lock in fourth spot, even though Josh Majette, I don't know if I've ever seen a face blow up that quickly. It was horrible to see what happened to him. And then obviously it came down to Sunday and Melbourne beat Adelaide to put the onus back on the Wildcats, and the Wildcats had to win by 11 and they won by 12. What did you make of the whole final round?
Yeah, no, some teams did what they needed to do, and some teams made it harder than they had to. Obviously, New Zealand was probably fortunate to have the schedule they did to finish the season, but full credit to them. They did their work the whole season and allowed them to be in that position, and finish second is massive. You avoid the playing tournament. Cairns finished the season they wanted to and probably cheering for a Brisbane upset, but unfortunately, New Zealand held on. And then Perth, Melbourne, thanks to Tucker hitting a three on the buzz, made it harder. But then, unfortunately for Melbourne, Perth did one better and went up by 1 point over what they needed to do. So, exciting round of basketball, but now it's the fun time of year.
No, it sure is. What do you think of the format that we've got this season, Matty? Are you happy with the top six? Do you like the fact that these positions are decided by percentage, or would you like it to be worked out another way?
I think I prefer it the old way, top four. I don't believe we've got enough. Yeah, 10 teams, but it's not the NBA where you got 32 teams or in each pool to give other teams an opportunity. I think it should be the top four. You reward those top four teams. Four best teams. Obviously, South East will probably have a case, but I just think it should be the top four, and one play 4, 2 versus 3. They've earned the right, and I think if you're going to grow the league, then bring a playing tournament. But I truly believe it should be top four.
Yep, no, you make a good point. But we've got it all ahead of us, so we look forward to it starting on Thursday night, and I'll get your thoughts on your predictions before we wrap things up. But a couple of things to get through, Matty. I want to get your predictions for the NBL awards before we finish, but before we need to get to your Player of the Year voting for the final round, and then your final leaderboard for the winner of the Player of the Year for this NBL season, thanks to Hoop 7. Now, coming into the final round, just to set the tone, we had Milton Doyle on top on 20, but Derek Walton Jr. and Xavier Cooks from the Kings both had a chance, but as we talked about last week, we weren't quite sure what the Kings would do given they couldn't move from top spot, and probably Walton and Cooks, the way it turned out, one of them didn't play a game, one of them got hurt in another game, so it made it tough for them. So I imagine Milton Doyle is probably going to end up winning, and all he had to do was play well on Saturday. Matty, and I think he did the job, so I think he's a pretty deserving winner in the end, isn't he?
Yeah, no, I almost walked away with a triple-double. It was always a danger game going up to Illawarra, who's been playing some pretty good basketball. Full credit to Illawarra for not just throwing in the towel after a pretty tough season. But went up there, fourth spot in the line, and obviously losing the Jet, Doyle stepped up, and he's going to be vital for Tennessee success, especially with Majette more unlikely going to play in the final series. So, clear favourite, clear winner in my MVP, and well deserved.
Yep, an emphatic way to do it. So we got the 5 votes in the last round. We'll talk about the leaderboard shortly, but the rest of the votes for round 18, Matty. Your 4 votes. Boy, we've talked about this guy a bit. When he puts that Superman cape on, he's one exciting machine, isn't he?
He is. For a guy well known for his defense, his offense has sprung to light this year, and he's probably been a shining light for Adelaide's pretty disappointing season. Cleveland, he's willed at the last few weeks. He's just put Adelaide on his shoulders and tried to do everything he can to get him into that playoff spot. And even on Sunday, with very minimal chance, goes out and drops his high score as a professional basketball player.
Amazing, isn't it? First time he's ever got to 30 points in his professional career.
Yeah, no, a fantastic achievement. It was done in a big game too. And if I'm Adelaide, I'm doing everything I can to lock him down long term because he's a vital piece if they're going to have any success. You build a team around that guy.
You can do the same for the next guy as well, the New Zealand Breakers, with your 3 votes, Matty.
Yeah, no, Terrell Brantley, he's almost the engine for the New Zealand Breakers. If he's up and about, they're playing really good basketball. If he's quiet, that's when I believe they went on their losing streak. So if I'm the New Zealand management, I'm looking to probably lock down all 3 imports.
Yeah, absolutely.
They've been very important. Obviously, Brown's up for 6th man of the year. And then you got Pardon in the middle, who's up for Defensive Player of the Year. So you can build around those 3. You're going to have some long-term success. So he's the 3 votes for the previous weekend.
And the 2 votes. I think that for the first half of the season, I think everyone thought that Ray John Tucker was a bit of a joke after the way he came into the season, saying he'd be the best import in the league. But boy, did his second half of the season deliver for Melbourne.
It's the best idea to come in and say you're the best import in the league when there's some pretty good imports in the league already. You're putting a target on your back. Full credit to him. He probably didn't have the start of the season he wanted, but I think that was just Melbourne United. Obviously, the losses they had so close to the season start, then you lose your starting centre at the pre-season tournament. Your starting point guard goes down. It was pretty tough for him, but once Melbourne United turned around, I believe he was a huge part of it. He's very excited when he's up and going, and he's very passionate. You can see that. But, no, he gets the 2 votes. And his 3-pointer on the buzzer almost got Melbourne United into the finals. So it was a massive game, and especially in the fourth quarter when Adelaide were looking to make a run, he stood up and did everything he could to help Melbourne almost make finals.
What about your 1 vote for the last round, Matty?
Yeah, Brady Manning from Perth. You can see why he was a highly regarded shooter. He hit some big shots for the Wildcats. Now 2 free throws down the line to give him that 12 points.
Yeah.
But he's been probably didn't have a start to the season. He's been pretty consistent since.
No, he has. He's got a lot better as the season's gone on. Okay, Matty, so that's the final vote. So what that means on your leaderboard is that, like we touched on from the start, Milton Doyle ended up wrapping up the win in your Player of the Year award for NBL 23. He finished on 25 votes. So next up we had Mitch Creek on 19, Derek Walton Jr. and Xavier Cooks on 18, Keanu Pinder on 14, Bryce Cotton on 12, Antonius Cleveland on 12, Derek Pardon 11. Then we go back, Alan Williams on 9, Corey Webster on 9, Jarrell Brantley on 9, Xavier Radden-Mays on 8, DJ Hogue on 7. Pretty happy with the way the leaderboard panned out?
Yeah, no, I am. Obviously, Mitch Creek was probably a bit unfortunate that they didn't get to play the last round, but I think even if he did play one game, he wouldn't have got the vote. So, no, very happy. Doyle's been one of the most consistent players, especially for Tassie. For a team that was trying back up a grand final, a lot of expectations coming in to replace Josh Adams, and I think he stepped up and relished that roll down in Tassie.
No, absolutely. So congratulations to Milton Doyle of the Tasmania Jack Jumpers for winning the Hoop 7 Player of the Year award for NBL 23, and now we look forward to seeing what he can do in the finals, of course, Matty. Now, let's move on to your award predictions for the NBL season and get your thoughts on who you think might take out some of these awards, Matty. Why don't we start with probably the easiest one? Start with the best 6 man.
6 man. That's Barry Brown from started minutes, but comes off the bench, and New Zealand lose absolutely nothing when he comes on. So that's a pretty easy one, and I'd be very surprised if he didn't walk away with that award.
Yep. So would I. The interesting one, at least in terms of who was nominated, is the best defensive player. But out of Antonius Cleveland, Derek Pardon, and Shayeli, who would you go with?
Antonius Cleveland. Yep. Yeah, no, he's had some big assignments this year, and he shot some guys down while also producing on the other end. Pardon's been massive for New Zealand. Maybe the reason Illy doesn't really get mentioned. I think he missed nearly 2/3 of the season, but great defender, and he's the engine of that Melbourne defence. But I just think Cleveland has been the most consistent throughout the year.
Now, the Next Generation award is the interesting one because it replaced the Rookie of the Year award, and you have to feel for Sam Wardenberg, but he's still a chance to win this award instead. Does he get to take it out?
That's a tough one. I've got it between him and Foley from Illawarra. Yeah. I just think Wardenberg probably didn't help him with Keanu up there as well, being probably the focal point. But it was still Rookie of the Year. It was his award to win easy, but I think as it moved to the Next Generation, I think Foley will walk away. He's probably the most consistent player for Illawarra the whole way through.
Okay, yep. Again, I just feel for him almost having an award ripped out of his hands, but it is what it is. Most improved player is another interesting one, Matty. So out of Pinder, Will McDowell-White, and Sean McDonald, who would you go with?
This is a tough one. McDonald's been massive down in Tassie, and he's got Scott Ross's full confidence in him. He's been in some tight games right at the end, and they're not scared to give him the ball to go make a play. But I think for him, it's just the competition he's against. I think it's Will McDowell-White. From where he went from last year to this year, he's really improved his game, and he's going to be a vital piece if New Zealand are contend for a championship. And I think the only reason I go for him over Keanu is obviously Keanu's missed a bit of time with the injuries. And yes, he's improved, but I just think Will McDowell-White has really taken his game to the next level.
No, he absolutely has. Coach of the Year. I feel like all three of these men from the top three teams are equally deserving in a lot of ways, so I found this really tough. But who would you go with?
Yeah, no, two of the three Cairns and New Zealand were, I think, bottom, second last year.
Yeah, they're the bottom two teams, yeah.
They've turned around, they're 2 and 3, so that's an amazing turnaround. And they've both got their teams playing exciting brand of basketball. And I'm going to go with the New Zealand coach. Mm-hmm. I just think that go from where they were the last 2 years, been on the road, been a long couple of years, and he's really turned that program around. And I'd love to see 40 get it, what he's done up in Cairns, but I just think it'll be a close one. I think New Zealand coach will walk away with it just.
Before I get your MVP, let's get your all first and second teams, Matty. So who would you have in your all first team to start with?
All first, my two inside Mitch Creek and Xavier Cook.
Yep.
And my guards would be Bryce, TJ Hogue, and the other guard. It'll be an interesting one.
Well, it has to be your player of the year, doesn't it, surely? Does Milton Doyle sneak in?
Easy. Milton Doyle. If he's not in there, I'll be very surprised.
Yeah.
What he's done down in Tassie, he's their main guy. Majet's the captain, but Milton Doyle, he gets that team running. If he's up and about, Tassie are up and about. So Milton Doyle, easy.
What about your second team? This one's tricky because there's a lot of guys in the mix. We'll start with your two inside players. Would you go for the two from New Zealand who are equally deserving, or does Keanu Pinder sneak in, or even Alan Williams? I mean, who would you pick? Which two would you pick out of those four?
It's a tough one, but I'm going to the New Zealand duo. Yep. They've been massive for New Zealand this year, and huge part of the reason they're sitting second on the ladder right now. So Darrell Brantley and Pardon for me, the two inside. It's a tough one. Pinder's been big, but he's been injured, so he's missed some games. And Alan Williams, when he's on, but there's also been a lot of games where he's had foul trouble and had to sit a lot. So, but tough choice.
Yeah, no, for sure. Probably gets even tougher with your three outside players, but with Cotton, Doyle, and Hogue locked into the first team, I guess you throw in Derek Walden, Tyler Harvey, Barry Brown.
You've read my mind, Pikey. It's almost New Zealand all second team.
Yeah.
I've got Barry Brown in there, Tyler Harvey. Him and Frolin have been a bright spark. Harvey had a slow start, but the second half of the season he really turned it around. Yeah, so I got those two. And Derek Walton, he's been good for Sydney. He started off really well and probably went a bit quiet in the middle, but he finished the season off well. And obviously his team's finished top spot, so he played a part in that.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Matty, thanks for giving your insights into all of that. Now, what are your thoughts on the finals? So it starts on Thursday night. Elimination first up between the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix and the Perth Wildcats, and then the winner of the Cairns Taipans Tasmania Jack Jumpers straight into the semi-finals against the Breakers, and the loser gets a second chance. What do you think happens on Thursday night?
I think Southeast, they've had, 2 weeks off now, and the last time they met, they did a number on the Wildcats. So Perth are really going to have to, in 4 days, turn around their defence. All well and good scoring, but if you can't stop, you're not going to do too well. It'll depend on if Manick and Thomas can actually guard inside. Teams have made references. You win, every team won the rebound count against the Wildcats, but if you can dominate inside, you give yourself a good chance, and that's what Williams did. He dominated Perth Bigs last time, so if they're not up for the challenge, I think Southeast will walk away winners again quite comfortably.
The other game's a tough one. Who do you think advances between the Taipans and the Jack Jumpers?
This is a tough one. You've probably got a really... Well, actually, no, Cairns' defence is one of the top ones in the league. So, but I think the loss of Josh Majette really hurts Tassie. He's probably not putting up the numbers, but he's their floor general out there. And you're going to have to require someone else to step up. And while they can do that, I think Cairns at home, they're going to come off a lot of confidence coming over here and knocking off the Wildcats. So whilst I love the Jack Jumpers, I think Cairns, they're just too good at home, and it'll be a close game. But I think the loss in the Jets is too much to cover right now.
It's an interesting one what they do without Majette. I mean, do you put the ball in the hands of Milton Doyle a lot more and have him as your playmaker, but then at the same time that takes away probably from some of his shooting abilities to catch and shoot because he's the one doing the passing? Or do you let Sean McDonald take over as point guard? Do you put Jared Weeks in there to be your point guard? It's going to be fascinating what Scott Roth does.
Yeah, no, I mean, if there's any coach that could make that adjustment, it's Scott Roth. Whoever he puts in, he's going to have full confidence in him, and I don't think they'll bring Doyle to the point guard. You got McCall and Bull Quall, two very good defenders, and you don't want your best player being hounded all game, trying to get the ball up court, then trying to score as well. So I reckon you'll see the minutes split between Weeksy and Sean McDonald.
Yep. I think that's the way they'll go as well. But yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see how it all plays out, Matty. So thank you for breaking all that down. We'll catch up with you again next week, and we'll know who's in the semi-finals by then, and we can have a chat about that. But thanks for joining us once again, and thanks for all of your work in voting Milton Doyle as your Player of the Year for this season.
Thanks for having me on, Pikey.